Nope, we're still on our hold music for going live. This is our dance for going live. Hey, I think we're live on both platforms.
Hey, we're here. Yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
All right, this is the SPL Springfield Public Library Book Break. I'm Librarian Taylor.
I'm Librarian Mark.
And today, Mark, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're a librarian, right?
I'm a librarian.
Okay, last time I checked, I'm a librarian.
I believe so.
Okay. Sometimes I don't like to read.
It's a thing.
Sometimes I get in a slump, and sometimes I think I don't like to read at all. Does that happen to you sometimes?
I think it happens to all readers.
Yeah.
There's just times where it's like, you know what? I have that TBR pile, and I don't care for it. I need something to break my slump.
And you know in your brain that you like to read.
You do. Yeah, I know that I do.
But in your heart. So, Mark, what do you read when you need to break a reading slump?
When I need to break a reading slump, or when it's the end of the day and I just need a comfort read, there's a number of different authors that I can just pick up and punch through, things that I've read before. And one of those, I can always go with Kate Beaton.
Yes.
No matter how many times I've read this book, and I must have flipped through it, I don't know, 15, 20 times now. When I need something just as a pick-me-up at the end of the day, I will always go to Hark, Vagrant by Kate Beaton. There are little short comics in here that are exceptionally clever, and there's little short comics in here that are exceptionally dumb. And I love both of them.
I wholeheartedly second this. Also one of my go-tos. My undergraduate degree was actually in art history. And what I love about Kate Beaton is she takes art and literature and history and smashes them up with like fierce feminism and like a contemporary lens. But it's so funny. It's so funny. So it's good stuff.
Very definitely just pick it up, read it. And she's also written some kids' books as well.
Yes.
If you've ever asked me for a recommendation in the kids' room, I've probably sent you home with The Princess and the Pony.
The Farting Pony and Princess Pinecorn. Pinecorn? Popcorn Pinecone. Pinecone. All right. So my version of Hark, Vagrant that I pulled is Sara's Scribbles. So Sara Anderson. This is like the epitome of millennial humor. It is very self-aware. She has 4 complete volumes out. I own them all.
They are also all available in the Springfield Public Library.
And they're fuzzy. The cover's fuzzy. But, I mean, you can bust through this in no time at all. The little sentient uterus is just the funniest thing ever. I can just sit down, read through this half an hour, and I'm like tears laughing at the end of it. So Sara's Scribbles, this one just happens to be Big Mushy Happy Lump.
If you've ever, if someone's ever called you a book lover, they have very definitely sent you the comic that this one comes from.
Yes.
On your Facebook or Instagram feed. So
we have that hanging up by our clock-in board.
Just over there.
At work. What else you got?
So when I was about 8 or 9, I took my hard-earned 20 cents, or at least my dad gave it to me, and I went to a book sale at our school, and I picked up a book that had been weeded called Mohawk Valley by Ronald Welch, and it was historical fiction, and it's really not a great book, but I have read that book probably 20 times again since I was 8 years old, and it gave me an appreciation for historical fiction. And so an author that I can always read is Bernard Cornwell, whether it's writing about the Napoleonic Wars, or whether it's his Uhtred series, which is very much peak Bernard Cornwell. If you've read his other series, the Uhtred series, which they turned into a Netflix series, which you can watch right now. It's the Saxon Tales is the name of the series. I just blanked on the name of the TV series because I haven't actually watched it. But I can always read anything by Bernard Cornwell. Janet Ivanovic, okay? Popcorn reading, fluff, whatever you call it. It's the same kind of thing. It's just good brain fodder. Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
My next recommendation goes the complete different direction. So sometimes whenever I'm in a reading slump, I need something that is so challenging and engrossing and mind-bending. I have to focus so hard on what's happening to make sense of it, to follow all the leads, and that I just totally get engrossed in the book, and that like rekindles my love for reading. There is quite seriously nothing on the shelves right now that does this better than the Locked Tomb series. So this is by Tamsyn, Muir, and Lesbian Necromancers in Space. Like, it's the best thing ever. When I was reading Harrow the Ninth, so this is number 2, number 3 comes out this year. When I was reading this one, I actually I got to about here in the book, so towards the end, and I literally took it and smacked my partner with it because I was so flabbergasted at the plot. The Locked Tomb, Tamsyn Muir, it's incredible.
Excellent. If you need to, again, remind yourself of why you read and the effect that reading can have on you, read Through the Woods by Emily Carroll.
Yes.
And then have nightmares.
Yes.
Because that's what this book does. This book, it came out about 5 or 6 years ago now. And I love it. It's a series of unrelated, that's the word. I was going to say uninterconnected, which is not a word.
Could be.
Collection of stories by Emily Carroll. Again, it started as a webcomic and then she got it on here. It's horror set in the deep, dark woods, set in villages.
Some of these images are the most disturbing thing that...
I'm not going to show you the scary stuff. One of my favorite pages, it starts off, this is the front page. This guy, he's looking, obviously things are going on. This man is not my brother. And it just goes from there. It draws you in. You don't know what is going to happen on the next page. There's psychological horror, there's body horror with teeth. It is an amazing little collection of books and a series of tales, and I highly recommend giving this one a read.
I wholeheartedly second that one. Just talking about it gives me these weird like tingles in the palms of my hands and in the soles of my feet. And it's so good. All right. I have way more than we have time to share today. So I think I want to go with an all ages recommendation next. Almost all ages. I would really recommend the Bones series for like upper elementary school all the way through adults. This series is a classic for a reason. It is an epic adventure. It's got a little bit of crushy romance. It's got secret identities. It's got dragons. It's got tons of humor. It's got a race with a cow and a grandma. Like this, I've read this in full 2 or 3 times, and just every time I just love it so much. It's high fantasy. It's great, and it transcends age, like age demographics. Yeah.
And unlike the Amulet series, it's finished.
It is finished. So, yes.
Yay.
There's a couple tie-in pieces too, if you want to read like the novel or a storybook, things like that.
Yeah, so. and we have all those. There's short tales set in the world, and then there's longer standalones and prequels as well.
Yeah. I'll throw this into, I mean, there is so little in the world that stands up to the test of time and transcends like age demographics like Calvin and Hobbes. If you haven't read Calvin and Hobbes in a while, maybe you read it as a kid, or maybe you read it when it was in the paper and you haven't revisited it, do. You just, with every year, you see new things, you hear new things, you laugh at different things. Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. A couple of quick quick recommendations in terms of juvenile fiction. This was my mum's favorite book, and it's mine. Written in the 50s. If you are from Europe, I am not. If you are from Europe, sorry, you very much know, you know the Moomintroll family. They're kind of, they're ubiquitous. There is 9 novels. There are hundreds of comic strips written by the original author, Tove Jansson, and then her family. I think her brother wrote for them a while as well. There are animated TV shows. There are puppet TV shows. I think even there's a full-length movie. It's a family living in nature, with nature, kind of a big hippie commune kind of ideal behind it. But it's just about pure familial love and exploration and exploring the world, and it makes really good tattoos. And yeah, you can always read this one. Another book that I really enjoyed was The Candymakers by Wendy Mass, or Mass. I can't remember how to pronounce that, but it's kind of Willy Wonka-ish. There's a chocolate factory. Every year they have a competition to see who can make the new chocolate. This year, it's the son of the chocolate makers is getting his turn to try and do it.
Is he the chosen one of chocolate makers?
Not really.
Nice.
There's 4 characters. Each chapter is from a different character's perspective, and it's nearly too clever for itself, because each chapter leaves something that you're like, oh, hang on, what's going on with this character? And then you might not find out about it until you hear from somebody else's perspective. I really enjoy it. It can be a little bit of a push because of, as I said, it's maybe a little too clever in a couple of places, but I really enjoyed this book. And there's a sequel too.
All right, I have a rapid fire 3 different graphic novel series. These are all general audience or adult graphic novel series. These are not even teen. There's lots of just blood and bits. But Monstress, hands down the most beautiful graphic novel series, I'm gonna say ever, but assuredly like on the market right now. It's stunning. The women who create it are phenomenal. I cannot say enough about this. It's high fantasy with some like cosmic horror thrown in. It's delightful.
It's one of my favorites. It does require a couple of reads. I think that one, like it's a graphic novel to read through and then read through again, which is there's so much detail.
Yeah, it's not one that you're gonna blow through like Sara's Scribbles or Hark of Vagrant. You need to look at every panel, every page. So that's really important. Mm-hmm. Also, I am a big fan of Kieron, Gillen, and all of the teams that they put together. So we've got The Wicked and Divine, which is a complete series, and it's about all of these different gods or like deity-esque characters across the world and through time that essentially get reincarnated. And this is a contemporary story. So good. Yeah. And then Once and Future is focused on Britain and King Arthur, and even explores like concepts of nationalism and white supremacy and like how we really can mix up like history and belief and contemporary values and all sorts of stuff. Fascinating. And grandma is amazing. I'm really a big fan of comic books with amazing grandmas, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. There are absolutely terrifying grandmothers in Monstress. They're not pleasant.
Yeah.
we had a quick chat about Once and Future a couple of weeks ago as well on this one. Okay, very, very quickly in terms of picture books that I can always come back to. Anything at All by Amy Dickman. Okay, Wolfie the Bunny. Read the book. Lemmings is one of my favorite books ever written. This, when I first started working with kids, this was one of the first books that I purchased myself. I love this story. I've traveled a lot, been around the world a fair few places. The entire idea behind this book is that there is a snail who wants to see the world and then heads off with this whale. They go and they just go traveling the world together. The snail realizes just how small they are. But, oh no, one day the whale loses its way and then the snail has to rescue it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the grey blue humpback whale. And finally, Harry the Dirty Dog. It's a classic for a reason. I like to think of this as the platonic ideal of picture books. It's about a character. The character, you see what the character is into, what they enjoy. They create a problem. The problem is solved. It's short, it's sharp, it's simple. I love Harry the Dirty Dog.
All right. My last recommendations are 2 author specific. The Chaos Walking series, specifically by Patrick Ness. Anything by Patrick Ness is wonderful. But this series is absolutely stunning. It is sci-fi, it is dystopia, it is information overload and privacy and secrets and adventure, and it is stunning. Fair warning, towards the end of the first book, there is a character death. And I was listening to the audiobook in my car and I was crying so hard, I almost had to pull over. So maybe don't, like, from about here on, make sure you're not listening to the audiobook and driving your car. Okay, then Christopher Moore. So Christopher Moore's books, he has been writing for a really long time, and you'll notice in his older books, like, his tone and his voice definitely change. These are my favorites. So Sacre Bleu is a standalone, and it is an examination of the color blue through Impressionist painters, specifically Vincent van Gogh, Toulouse-Lautrec, and then some fictional artists as well. There is a blue fairy and absinthe, and it's just incredible. Also, tons of dirty jokes. Bloodsucking Fiends is the only vampire series I have ever loved. It's 3 books. It's very self-aware. It makes fun of itself and yet still has the coolest vampire character I've ever met. So that one. And then finally, A Dirty Job. There's 2 books in this series so far. I desperately hope we get more. A man's wife dies and then he gets the job of death. And he has to go and collect people's souls while he also raises his daughter. Super irreverent, hilarious. Again, lots of dirty jokes. Fantastic. Anything by Christopher Moore.
All right.
All right. This might be our longest book break ever.
I feel that we could probably keep talking about books, and we could probably do this every week, but we shan't. We'll be back next week with books on other topics.
I don't know what topics. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Have a good day, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.